What's up, everyone? Welcome into this emergency podcast here on the DNVR Rockies. It's an emergency edition of the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by New Built Restoration and Construction. If you're in a fix, you got snow issues, you've got any problems with your homes, be sure to check out our friends over at New Built Restoration. This is a big day, and this has been a big little week for us here in Colorado for Rocky stuff. We just had Walker Montford on the show yesterday, and he says, "Hey, our timeline for hiring a GM is still in place. We're going to be moving forward with this new GM, hopefully before winter meetings, which happen next week." And you wake up today, find out Josh Byrnes hired as the Rockies' new general manager, working alongside Paul DePodesta. What do you think about this one, Spencer? What do you think about this move?
Well, I love the move. I've seen a lot of things online that it's like an internal hire, which we'll get to in a second, but it just it's annoying me with the reaction that some people have had. But let me put it this way. When we interviewed Walker yesterday and he told us, things from what they started doing in the past couple months and hiring a GM and hiring the president of baseball operations and all these different positions, like everything time will tell, right? Well, time is here. This is literally one of the things he told us yesterday was I wouldn't put it past the timeline that he will be hired by the weekend, which would then lead us into winter meetings on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And it's already coming true. It's already coming. Like, he did not lie to us. He told us the truth. He had, like the comment said, Walker had a little smirk on his face, a grin, and he knew what was, like, he couldn't tell us, but he knew that something was coming down. And my prediction of a Thursday afternoon pod wasn't exactly correct, but his prediction that timeline was still on the books was completely correct. And now we've got a new GM, a longtime GM from the NL West, and worked in many different, 4 World Series rings on his fingers. Rockies will make it the 5th here in a couple years. And then he's got a long resume. We've got a president of baseball operations. We've got a new chief revenue and strategy office. Like, it's turning up Rockies. This is all turning up Rockies for us right now in this offseason, where I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock, had to plow my entire driveway. It's snow, and all I can think about is Rockies baseball at the moment.
What a day! What a day! Yeah, it's exciting, and we don't have a lot of time, so I don't want to kind of dive. I don't want to dive. We can't dive too deep because we've got a ton of other shows happening today. So we've only got about 15 minutes or so. But I wanted to give some insight into who he is. This Josh Byrnes character. I understand that people are going to see that he worked for the Rockies back in 1999 to 2002. I was a toddler back
Were
when
you
that
even
actually
born?
happened, so it was a long time ago. No, barely, barely. I had just came out of my mother's womb, and he was working for the Rockies. So yes, I understand he has connections to the Rockies, but it's been decades that he's been out of the Rockies world, and he's been working for teams that have been successful. He went in 2003. He got hired as the assistant general manager with Theo Epstein and the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox, and they won a World Series the very next year. Theo Epstein actually said he's a key voice in player personnel. He's got as much of a feel for evaluating and statistical analysis as anyone in baseball, and we're talking one of the best front office individuals in the history of baseball, and Theo Epstein saying that about Josh Byrnes. So on paper, I think this is as good of a hire as the Rockies could ever have expected. And I also think the combination of Paul DePodesta being this analytic minded, very intelligent president of baseball operations, combined now with a guy who has a focus, an emphasis in Josh Byrnes on the ins and outs of the players and the personnel, the trades, all of those kind of things. I think it's a great combination. I think the Rockies, for all of their faults over the last decade and beyond, have absolutely crushed so far this offseason, starting this rebuild. We had Walker on the show yesterday. He talked about it. He gave us some insight. And now they're backing it up with action. They're saying, hey, we want to go out and we want to find people who can make a difference because the Monfort's making the decisions, Dick Monfort making the decisions in the past hasn't worked out for the Rockies. Obviously, it's what's led to the Rockies being where they are today. And so Walker comes in and says, we need to we need to hire people. We need to hire baseball minds who can fix this for us. And you hired Paul DePodesta, a guy who has a movie made about him back in the day. And now this Josh Byrnes guy who's got decades of experience. He's worked in the NL West. He's won World Series with the Dodgers, with the Red Sox. Like it feels like a perfect storm. I have on paper zero issues with this hire from the Rockies.
1,000,000%. And, during the whole season, when we talk about when the Rockies are playing the Dodgers and we talk about the Dodgers, which we like to do we even talked about it in the President of Baseball Operations search when we heard the two names that had dropped out of the candidacy. We obviously never heard Paul's name in the search, but we were like, hey, maybe they're waiting for somebody from the Dodgers because they're still in the World Series. And why is this taking so long? And now their new GM comes directly from basically the best, yes, the money helps, but the best built baseball team in the last 10 years, and it's not even close. And with Josh's experience overseeing the clubs, this is from Thomas Harding's little quick article here. He oversaw the club's scouting and player development. Is there a better team in the world than at scouting and player development than the Los Angeles Dodgers? I've talked about it on the podcast before. I went down this rabbit hole a couple months ago and looked at Dodgers drafts from the past 5, 6, 7 years, and there'd be turds 1 through 17, 18, 19. And then all of a sudden at 26, they're picking Alex Verdugo, or they're picking any of these all-star level Major League Baseball players at 27, 28, because their scouting is so good and their development is so good. And this is, I don't see this as anything but a win. You're taking a piece away from your direct competitor. I know a lot of people don't consider the Rockies a competitor of the Dodgers right now, but the fact of the matter is, and that's true, but the fact of the matter is they're in the same division. So you're going to have to, in order to get to the playoffs and win a World Series one day, you're going to have to beat the Dodgers at some point. So they're taking a huge piece away from that team, putting it on your team. You got Harvard squared at the top of President of Baseball Operations and DePodesta. Now Byrnes, both got Harvard guys at the top of your roster, at the top of your front office, running your roster and making roster decisions. I couldn't be more hyped for this. Like, this isn't grabbing the guy from the Pittsburgh Pirates that have had a 100-loss season, or, thinking about trading Paul Skeens because they're not good enough. This is from the Los Angeles freaking Dodgers, their vice president, taking him right and becoming a GM. And he's been a GM with the Diamondbacks. He's been a GM with the Padres. He's been a GM, assistant GM with the Red Sox, who won a World Series, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, if you're poo-pooing this hire in any way, shape, or form, now I'm not saying this means you're going to win the World Series. Don't get me wrong here. But I'm saying in this moment, if you're poo-pooing this hire, you just want to be pissed off. And I'm sorry for you. Like, I feel bad for you, because this is, for lack of a better term, a home run hire from the Rockies to get a guy from the Dodgers.
And we're not the only ones saying it. Go look around the rest of Rockies media, even people who are really critical of the Rockies. Troy Rank with the Denver Post, who's a columnist who has been very outspoken about the Rockies and all of the issues that they have had. I mean, he said this was a home run hire. Patrick Saunders, who covers the Rockies with the Denver Post, said, my opinion, and he doesn't really give his opinion very often because he's not a columnist, but he said, my opinion, this is a really good hire from the Rockies. Bud Black even spoke in. I saw Patrick just posted this. Bud Black came in and jumped in and said, I have known Josh for 30 years and worked closely with him in Cleveland and San Diego. He has an immense passion for baseball and knows what it takes to win. Paired with Paul DePodesta, they will be formidable. Like, look, again, I'm not saying, just like Spencer said, I'm not saying that this is going to change the course of next year and that the Rockies are going to go to the playoffs next season. But this is a good step in the right direction. We talk all the time about taking a step forward. This is a step forward for the Rockies. You needed to get your front office fixed before you even thought about signing free agents, before you even thought about getting a pitcher on your roster that actually knew how to throw at elevation. Like, before any of that took place, you had to fix your front office. We knew that was the biggest focal point for this offseason. Now you've done it. You've got your president. You've got your GM. You've got your chief revenue and strategy officer, if you want to go on the business side of things. I think the Rockies are set up now with winter meetings coming up next week. We can turn our attention to who are they going to sign? How are you going to actually get this product fixed for the team so that starting in 2026, things start to look better? But, again, the front office, this is a step in the right direction. This is good. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. We're going to probably get to talk to Josh coming up here in a couple days when we are in Orlando, and so this should be a lot of fun. I don't mean to cut us short. I've got another show in 15 minutes that I've got to jump on. So this was, like I said, this was going to be really quick, but we'll keep your coverage going on DNVR Rockies Twitter. So if you want to keep following us on Twitter, we'll get more quotes. We're going to be reaching out to people, talking to as many people as we can, getting as much information as we can on this hire. And we'll keep you guys posted. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week on our show. We'll have coverage continuing right here on the DNVR Rockies podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.